Welcome in second class of matter in our surroundings. Today we shall study at first kinetic energy. Kinetic energy. Energy possessed by an object or by a particle due to its motion is known as kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is the energy possessed by any object or any particle due to its motion. Now what is the effect of temperature on kinetic energy? Effect of temperature. We know kinetic energy is energy due to motion, and with the increase of the temperature, motion of particle increase. So with the increase of the temperature, kinetic energy increase. With the increase of temperature, kinetic energy increase, and with the decrease of temperature, kinetic energy decrease. And with the decrease of temperature, kinetic energy decrease. That is, kinetic energy and temperature are directly proportional to each other. Next is diffusion. Diffusion. As we saw in the case of incense stick, its particle reaches to us by mixing with the particle of air. This type of intermixing of particles of two different type of matter is known as diffusion. Intermixing of particles of two different type of matter due to their own is known as diffusion. As in the case of the kinetic energy, diffusion or rate of diffusion also increase with the increase of the temperature. Effect of temperature. Rate of diffusion is directly proportional to temperature. That is, with the increase of temperature, rate of diffusion decrease of temperature, rate of diffusion, decrease. Thus, we have studied kinetic energy is energy possessed by an object or by a particle due to its motion, and diffusion is intermixing of two different type of particles, that is particle of two different matter due to their own. Both kinetic energy as well as rate of diffusion is directly proportional to the temperature, that is with the increase of temperature kinetic energy and rate of diffusion increase and vice versa. Now we shall study some activities. Show by an activity that denser objects or particles diffuse slowly while lighter particles diffuse quickly. It is activity 1.4 of NCERT. So activity 1.4 of our book is that denser objects or heavier objects, they diffuse slowly, that is their rate of diffusion is slow, and lighter objects diffuse quickly, that is their rate of diffusion is fast. Similarly, object is to show that denser objects diffuse slowly while lighter substance diffuse quickly. For this, we require two glass or beaker, a heavy substance or denser substance like honey, light substance like ink, blue ink or red ink, procedure. What shall we do? We shall take two similar beaker, put equal amount of water in both. Take two similar beakers, put equal amount of water in them. In first beaker, put a drop of honey along with wall of glass very carefully, while in second beaker put a drop of ink or blue ink in the same beaker. So we shall take two beaker, equal size, in both equal amount of water. In first, carefully we put a drop of honey, which is a heavy substance. In second, we shall put a drop of ink, which is a lighter substance. What is our observation? We observe that honey settle down at the bottom and take few hours to diffuse equally, while ink diffuse quickly. Honey at first set at bottom and then diffuse and take a few hours in diffusion, while ink diffuse quickly. Result. So we can say that denser or heavier substance diffuse slowly, heavier substances diffuse slowly, as in the case of honey, while lighter substances or material diffuse quickly, as was in the case of ink. So thus we studied that heavy substance or denser substance, they diffuse slowly, their rate of diffusion is slow as compared to the rate of diffusion of the lighter substance. Now we shall do another activity. Next activity is that to show rate of diffusion depend upon the temperature. To show by an activity that rate of diffusion depends on temperature. It is activity 1.5 of NCERT. This is activity in which we decide that temperature play a role in rate of diffusion. Object to show that rate of diffusion depends on temperature. Material required. Two beakers, hot water, cold or normal water, and any coloring substance like crystal of copper sulfate, potassium permanganate, or ink liquid ink, and ink. Procedure. Take two beakers, put 100 ml of hot water in first beaker and 100 ml of cold water in second beaker. Put 1 drop of liquid ink in each beaker. So we take two beakers. In one beaker we put hot water and another beaker we put cold water, and 100 ml of water in first hot water, in second cold water, and we also place 1 drop of liquid ink in both the beakers. We shall observe that in hot water ink diffuses very quickly, while in cold water it takes some time to diffuse. diffuse very quickly in first beaker, that is in hot water, while it take some time to diffuse in second beaker, that is cold water. So this suggests that rate of diffusion is different in different temperature. Rate of diffusion is more in hot water, while rate of diffusion is less in cold water. Rate of diffusion depend on temperature, or it can be asked like that: rate of diffusion is directly proportional to temperature, or rate of diffusion is directly proportional to temperature. Thus, here we stated by an activity that rate of diffusion depend upon temperature. Rate of diffusion directly proportional to temperature. If temperature increase, rate of diffusion increase. If temperature decrease, rate of diffusion decrease. Force of attraction between particles of matter. Particles of matter are held together. This is because a force binds them. This is known as force of attraction. So it is force of attraction between the particles which hold them together, or the force which held the particles of matter together is known as force of attraction. It is maximum in solids and minimum in gases. We know that it is difficult to separate solid or particles of solid. That is, force of attraction is greater in solids, and force of attraction is medium in liquids, that is less than the force of attraction between the solid particles and more than the force of attraction between gaseous particles. While the force of attraction is approximately negligible in the gases. Now, a few little questions. Question like that. You may observe when your mother is cooking food in kitchen, its fragrance, its smell reaches to you in your study room. But the fragrance or smell of cold food not reaches to you. That is, we can, in other words, smell of hot sizzling food reaches you from a far distance or from a large distance as compared to the smell or fragrance of cold food. What is the reason for that? The reason is that hot food has high temperature as compared to cold food. Due to the high temperature, fragrance or gases from the hot food diffuse quickly in the air and reaches to us quickly. While the cold food has very low temperature, due to which fragrance of cold food cannot diffuse into the air so quickly. Therefore, it takes long time to reach the smell of cold food to us. So thus, this first question is that why smell of hot food reaches to us quickly as compared to smell of cold food. So answer, as I told you, it is due to difference in temperature. So temperature of hot food is more as compared to temperature of cold food. So rate of diffusion of fragrance or gases from hot food is more as compared to fragrance या gases of cold food. So smell of hot food reaches to us quickly as compared to smell of cold food. Thus we have completed two topics of this lesson number 1, matter in our surrounding. So in these two classes we have studied that anything that has mass and occupies space is known as matter, which neither have mass nor occupy space are not matters, and Panchatatva are the five basic elements according to earlier ancient Indian scientists, everything composed of. These are air, water, earth, fire and sky. According to the ancient Greek philosophers, each and everything was consist of four basic elements. Modern science classify elements on the basis of physical property in solids, liquid and gases, and on the basis of chemical properties in elements, compounds and mixtures. We have discussed five activities. First activity, according to which there is space between the particles of matter. Second activity, particles of matter are very small. Third activity, particles of matter are continuously moving. Fourth activity, rate of diffusion of heavy particle is more as compared to the rate of diffusion of lighter particles. And fifth activity, rate of diffusion is directly proportional to the temperature. We have also studied kinetic energy, which is energy due to motion. We have studied diffusion. It is intermixing of two different type of particles due to their own. We have studied force of attraction between the particles of matter. It is the force which binds particles together and it is highest in solids. And we have studied why the smell of hot sizzling food reaches to us quickly as compared to the smell of cold food. In next class we shall study different state of matter based on physical property. Thank you.